Okay, call the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Route of egress. In the event of an emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to an exit door. All doors will open from the inside. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Record Herald News, Board's official newspaper, on January 15th, 2025. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance to the school and filed with the clerk in the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna? Mr. Coletta?
Present.
Ms. Quadrado?
Here.
Mr. Guzman?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Martinez?
Here.
Mr. Moxell? Mr. Ramadan? And Mrs. Issa?
Here. Okay, can I have a motion to accept correspondence? Second. Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Ms. Quadrado. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado?
Yes.
Mr. Guzman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to accept prior minutes? So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Ms. Johnson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna? Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado?
Yes.
Mr. Guzman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to open the floor to citizens on agenda items only? So moved. Second. Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Ms. Quadrado. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the floor is open to citizens on agenda items only. If anyone would like to address the board, please state your name and address. Anything online, Mr. Delvin? Okay. To address on agenda items?
Yes.
Okay, please come forward, state your name and address, and you have,
But
Yeah.
we just wanted to allow Athena Cornell, the board's attorney, substitute tonight, if she's looking to get in, Delvin.
Okay.
Again, Athena Cornell is the name. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no worries.
Board President.
Okay, so state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to address the board.
My name is Pedro Lagual. I am a HPS parent as well as the club manager for.
Your address, please, your address,
Sorry,
your address.
on 90 Church Street, Haledon, New Jersey.
Okay,
I'm a club manager for the North Jersey Royals. We're a nonprofit baseball club. We're dedicated to providing kids the opportunity to learn and play baseball. Through practicing clinics, we teach our youth the fundamentals of the game. We teach them hitting, pitching, fielding, and base running. We currently have 103 kids in our program. 40 to 50 of those kids are in our softball and t-ball program. Those are the kids that we're looking to access your facility for. We don't need the space every day, only 1 or 2 days a week. That will mean a whole lot for us to have, access to your facilities. These children that play for us are already students at Haledon Public, so having them, practice in a facility that they're accustomed to, it'll be more comfortable for them. We would really appreciate a yes vote. We do this for the kids. We don't do this for no political reasons. For no money. It's just for the kids. So you guys can vote yes. We would really appreciate it.
okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, and anybody else?
Chris.
45 Zabriskie, Christian Saheza. So we also have already 14 girls registered for softball and counting. I had an extra 4 girls there today, so it should be 18 after today. We finished our registrations this Sunday. Our goal, we're on pace to have a full 2 teams, a U10 and U12. So they'll probably, we really want the facility more for the softball and the coach and T-ball kids. That's for the 8-year-olds and then more of the girls, 8 to 12-year-old girls for softball, because that's the same field they use back there. Yeah, as of now, so we have 107 kids out of 103. And where we should have about like 115, 120 by the end of the week. And yeah, it'll be great if you guys give us a facility. 90% of our students go to Health and Public. So it'll be easy access for the kids as well, and they'll be accustomed to the area, especially for the parents as well. They'll be a closer commute. So yeah, that's all I have to say, really.
Okay, thank you so much. It is on the agenda, so we will be voting later. Anybody else? Okay, so can I have a motion to close the floor?
So
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Ms. Quadrado, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moving on to committee reports. So I will start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a full house. I want to take a moment to thank the business administrator, Ms. Augustin, Chief School Administrator, Mr. Waka, and my fellow board members for a good discussion at our last meeting, in particular regarding the draft school budget for 2005-2006. It's okay that we don't always agree, as long as we're respectful of one another and the process. Everyone being at the table and contributing to the discussion makes for these kinds of important exchanges of thoughts and ideas, and in the end is how informed plans and decisions are made. It confirms my belief that attendance at board meetings is fundamental so that everyone is part of the conversation and that we can work better as a team. To that point, I'm glad that we've committed to making sure that all of our committees meet periodically. Coming together with a purpose in mind provides an opportunity for board members to engage meaningfully and to take ownership of their committee business, which in turn leads to more thoughtful feedback to the whole board and the process of working through board business. I want to take this opportunity to remind my fellow board members to be sure they are going through the agenda before meetings. You don't have to read line for line or word for word, as we often get attachments that are over 100 pages each. However, we should all be familiar with every item on the agenda so that our voting is informed, whether it's a yes, no, or a no vote. That's what we're elected to do. Please keep in mind that while every board member is entitled to a yes or no on to vote yes or no on any agenda item, board business needs to move forward. Programs and services need to take place. Staff need to be compensated for the work they do, and students should be rewarded for important victories. While a no vote may not change the outcome of an agenda item, it makes a statement. Before voting no on an agenda item, please consider whether this is in line with our district's strategic plan and mission statement, both of which are posted on the HPS website, and both of which ultimately aim to educate and nurture our students for success in school and in life. Though we don't agree on everything, we should agree that the success and well-being of our students, academically, socially, and emotionally, is always the priority. Moving on, we had a scary incident take place at the school on Friday, March 14th. 2 individuals fleeing the police trespassed on the school's playground while students were outside for gym class. Thank goodness the situation was dealt with swiftly and students remained safe. Sincere thanks are due to HPS Security Officer Brian Smith, who apprehended one of the individuals and turned him over to the police, to the Haledon Police Department for apprehending the second individual and subsequently ensuring that the school campus was secured, to the teachers who reported the trespassers to administration and kept students calm and safe, to Mr. Waka and the school administration for enacting all the proper procedures in response to the situation, and to our teachers and students for following protocol regarding the ensuing lockdown. Though this was a frightening occurrence, it's good to know that everyone did what they were supposed to do in order to remain safe. So thank you to everyone involved. Next, I want to give board members a heads up that we're approaching the time for the superintendent evaluation, which is due annually on June 30th. Once Mr. Waka completes his portion, we will be notified by NJSBA that we may complete our individual evaluations. When the process opens up for us, I will create a timeline for individual submissions, board discussion in executive session, and review with Mr. Waka in executive session. I will outline the process and provide deadlines to make sure we stay on track. After today, we have 3 board meetings before June 30th, so we'll have to make sure that we stay on track. And new board members, we will explain the whole process to you so that you know what to expect. I also want to point out that we will have our board retreat on Thursday, May 15th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the school. This date is on the calendar of this year's board meetings, which was approved in January. Please put the date in your calendar so that we have full attendance. It's a very worthwhile group activity that I hope will help us reflect on our district and board goals and how we can work as a team to carry out board business and achieve the best possible outcomes. Next, I want to give a shout out to the Hilden PTA for putting on a terrific Tricky Tray last week. It was a new venue and it seems to have been a successful event. So thank you to our board members who contributed to the Tricky Tray prize and who attended. In addition, last Friday, some of my fellow board members, our BA and I attended the New Jersey School Board Association 2nd Annual Women's Leadership Conference. It was a day filled with learning, networking, and hearing inspiring stories from successful women leaders. It was a reminder, at least to me, that women bring their own unique and authentic leadership style to the table, and that is something that everyone can benefit from. When I'm done with my report, I'm going to ask anyone who attended if they would like to add anything about the conference. Finally, I want to congratulate HPS's longtime middle school Spanish teacher, Senora Rivera, on her retirement. I can only imagine how many students she has taught and had a positive impact on over the years, including my 2 kids. I think we can all agree that it is a great benefit for students to be exposed to other languages and cultures, something that we take pride in here at HPS and in Hilden in general. And I'm grateful that our district can provide our students with that opportunity. While Senora Rivera will be leaving big shoes to fill, I look forward to HPS continuing to cultivate this subject area. Thank you, Senora, for your years of dedication and service to HPS and its students. Thank you and best of luck as well to 5th grade teacher, Ms. Zielinski, who will be moving on from HPS. 5th grade is an important year as students begin to transition from elementary to middle school. HPS has been fortunate to have a strong 5th grade team of teachers who work closely with each other and students during this time. I am sure that Ms. Zielinski's contributions and expertise will be missed. Thank you, Ms. Zielinski, for your years of service to at HPS. And lastly, I want to thank HPS teacher Ms. Burdick and Certified Angel staff member Shade Alamar for their service to HPS and its students, and we wish them the best of luck in their future endeavors. So that's it for my report. Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments, or does anyone want to comment on the women's conference?
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
I think it was very empowering, and I like the fact that they kind of make a point of telling you to, use your voice. And like you said, whether it's a yes or a no vote, you should use, because we all have a common interest, right? Is the town, the community, the kids, the school. But I like it. It's very informative and very empowering.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anybody else? Okay, then I will turn it over to Chief School Administrator, Mr. Waka.
Thank you. So first, I want to thank Bill and Ducey. We've known we'd have this many awesome people here visiting us. I would have had seats ahead of time, so I apologize that you had to stand for a little bit. I want to begin by talking about last Friday, because I'm kind of going off script here because I hadn't put that as part of my notes. And I appreciate the board president and the board in whole's appreciation for the staff's response and the police's response. And I think it's a good thing that I didn't put this in my notes, because that it's expected. Like it's I think it's a really good spot where I could sit where I'm at and just expect that when something happens, we're gonna have the staff and the security personnel and the guidance personnel and the police work together exactly as, we prepared for it. So of course, I'm appreciative, and I love the fact that we have the expectations as they are. I want to begin by thanking Ms. Zelensky and Ms. Burdick for their service. Ms. Zelensky the best as she moves to the southern part of New Jersey to continue her career down there. And we wish Ms. Burdick the best as she leaves for career advancement. These are two great teachers, and we're blessed to have had them helping our staff at HPS. We also want to welcome Mr. Rahman to our staff for the next 25-26 school year. Mr. Trito, Ms. Cusack, and I went to the William Patterson mock interview, and we just happened to meet a woman that had just moved into Haledon and was looking for a job as a local Spanish teacher. And it seems like, on paper, a fitting replacement for Ms. Rivera, who did a great job for us. It has done a great job for us for so long. The big thing coming up this week be our CUSAC on-site audit. Every few years, different schools in Passaic County are selected for their on-site CUSAC audit. Other times you just do like an electronic statement of assurance kind of thing. So the state will be coming in next week to review all aspects of school operation. This is the third time now that I've gone through an on-site CUSAC audit, so I know exactly what to expect, and I'm confident that with the domains of governance and personnel and facilities and operations, we will once again score very highly, and our marks on instruction will be determined by the results that we get from our spring state assessments, just like every other school in the state. Item 3 is that we also have the science fair and the school play coming up within the next few weeks. In our science fair, each grade is given a different theme as their science fair theme, and we will also continue to allow parents to come in after school to view the science fair projects as we've done every year since we've done this. And this year's school musical is going to be The Addams Family, and just from my office is kind of close to where they rehearse. The music sounds really, really, really good this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, item 4, I emailed the board with a list of programs and adjustments for the 25-26 school year. Fortunately, we were able to build an entire new wing to the school and still maximize the amounts of money that we could put into our reserves in many of our reserve accounts over the past 5 years. But since there is a limit on the amount we can bank into reserves from any one year into the next, the remainder of the monies we had needed to the remainder of the monies needed to be spent. This allowed us to offer a wide variety of programs and offer them quite extensively. Now that we received the $688,000 reduction in our state aids, we've made reductions on certain programs and eliminated others altogether. If you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, that email I sent earlier this week, then I strongly encourage you to do so. And lastly, I get asked a whole lot about the federal government, the federal Department of Education, and what impact it may have, or it may have if or when it gets eliminated altogether, or if it gets absorbed into some other cabinet. Right now, the federal government accounts for about 15% of all spending nationwide in public education. In New Jersey, we're the second to last most reliant state on federal funding. So I think that's right now it's a good thing, but will that have an impact if things change? Of course it will, because 15% it's a big percentage, right? But right now, we haven't received any information about what's going to happen, or when things will happen, or if things will happen, or if there will be changes, or if changes will come with certain stipulations. It's mostly a wait and see approach, because the only direct communication I've received from the federal government has been about DEI related things, but I haven't received anything about anything fiscal. So, to the people that keep asking me, I just, what I know, then I'll look to formulate a plan, bring the people in that can help me formulate a plan. But that's where we're at, and that's my report tonight.
Just to clarify, you said 15, right? 15?
So nationally, it's 50%. New Jersey, about 7.2% of New Jersey's is from the federal government. But you'll have states like Alaska that are like 26 or something like that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Quadrado.
The list that you provided for the program reductions, is that like the final day, or is that something that,
So like, if the federal government comes in and says, hey, your federal aid is gonna be 10 times more than you thought it would, then let's bring all the programs back, because we've seen, we've gone up like academically each of the last few years substantially, right? And I'm not saying these programs are the only reason, but they're significantly contributing.
oh, I guess my question is like, for instance, like this is the final say, like I just have a question in a specific
Yeah.
program. I don't know if I could bring that
Well,
up.
of course, yeah.
The boss program, you say that you want to move it to 2 days out of the week instead of the full 4 days.
So what I'm looking to do is eliminate the final.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
homework,
Uh-huh.
the homework.
The homework
program.
goes from 4
Yeah.
to 2, yes. And listen, if this board tells me that that's something that's important to them, to expand to keep it at all 4 days, that's something that we'll look to do.
I would absolutely support the 4 days, only for like working people, like, or single parents that work late and don't have that time to sit and do the homework. I think it's important.
So I think what we have to do with all of these programs, and by the way, this is for the 25-26
Sorry, July
school
1st,
year,
yes.
right? So is, especially the ones that involve academics like BOSS and homework club, we have to see if there's an impact, because we're trying to balance two things. We're trying to balance, the money and students' academic, performance.
Yeah.
So, if it does, we should monitor, how, and I think it goes without saying, but we should monitor how it goes. If we start to see, that the students' performance is being impacted, if they're only going twice a week, maybe they're not getting their homework done and, for whatever reason, then we could, regroup and think about it, maybe, I mean, the boss is a little bit harder to, I guess, gauge, like, how.
Yeah, the BOSS is a
how it affects
supplemental
their-
program, and it's a program offered to everyone, but only a certain percentage take advantage of it, or are able to take advantage of it. And we've seen that, like, if there's, and just because people have different vacation schedules, like the third week, the fourth week has seen a little bit of a drop off in attendance. And during times of plenty, we want to offer BOSS 5 days a week. If you let me in it for as many weeks as possible, I'd like to offer after school homework 5 days a week, as for many times as possible. But I think right now we're not in times of plenty, so we just make reasonable adjustments.
And we'll monitor and we'll see, we may need to make adjustments as we go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Waka?
Actually, just wanted to comment that we're actually speaking about this. Because although the school offers these extra programs to help the kids that are supposed to be doing homework at home, school, it also, benefits them if we're able to provide it. But unfortunately, if money's not there, then we have to make the adjustments necessary and hope that the parents can pick up some of that side. Thank you.
Is that is it 100? What is it, 100,000?
What?
That saving.
Um,
Not saving, but
36.
The total cuts were about 130 something something, right?
Yeah, so touching what we lost anyway. With that.
Yeah, but 1/6 of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's significant, okay. Okay, if there are no other questions, then I will turn it over to,
Can I ask a question or just a statement?
Mike,
oh, yeah.
Mr. Walker, thank you for the effort you put in with these cuts for next year. Again, these are for next school year. Just want to make sure that everyone's clear on that. It's not anything, to the best of my knowledge, that it's nothing that's going to affect this year. I did have one question regarding the email I sent to you and both Miss Augustin. The numbers you gave for the professional development, that number didn't match the number that I got from Miss Augustin. So if we could go back later and check just to see which is the accurate number, because they were substantially different regarding what the actual budgeted amount was for.
it's possible it was my mistake. If there's a time this week that you could do a conference call with me and Lamika, I'd love to do that, because it might have been my mistake, Mike.
Yeah, no, like I said, and I just want to make sure, like, again, this is for next year, and it's not anything that would affect personnel or anything like that at this point. So I want to make sure that everyone's clear that that's where we're at as of right now, as far as I see it, and I think everybody else sees that on the board. Just trying to do our best to save while not affecting the kids' ability to learn and achieve well.
I'll reach out to you, Mike. Thank you.
Is that coming from the general budget,
When you say that,
for William Patterson. The
William
professional
Patterson
development.
thing. I'm happy to talk about that now, or we can talk about that during that part of the, it's up to whatever, you'll be.
Let's talk about that when we get to the professional development.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that's what he was talking about.
I'd be happy, I don't know if he was talking about that specifically, but I'm happy to talk
Professional
about that. when we get
development in general, I think Mr. Coletta was talking about the
Oh, okay.
but we can discuss that when we get to that agenda item. I believe that's
No,
curriculum and
because that was
technology.
a part of the email,
Mhm.
so that's why I addressed it, because you
Okay.
said any other questions, so.
I'll make sure I
Okay.
explain that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
my comment was in reference to the numbers in the email, not what was on the
Right.
agenda, the cuts regarding the email.
What email is this?
The one that I sent to the board about the program.
With the
adjustments.
program, okay, yeah, alrighty. Okay, so if there are no other questions for Mr. Waka, I'm gonna turn it over to our business administrator, Ms. Augustin.
Thank you, Madam President. So the first thing I just want to remind our board members to complete your financial disclosure forms. This is very important because we're in a CUSAC year, so this is part of our governance piece, and we will be evaluated on that part. So please, if everyone can get those forms in as soon as possible. It does take some time to get them approved, so we have to submit them before the deadline, and the deadline is April 30th. The next thing I just wanted to note is that the budget is in county review as of right now. I am speaking with the county business administrator to make sure that all the aspects of the budget is correct. And she is, just kind of going back and forth. This is a usual process that we go through when we're in the county review of the budget. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I think the board had tasked me with last board meeting to get a resolution drafted for our representatives. That is on the agenda tonight. If you guys had a chance to review it, I know it kind of came in today, but we will be passing that resolution if we all agree regarding the reduction of our state aid and letting it be known that our district will our share of the state aid is equitable and not, we're not happy about the $600,000 that was decreased. So that resolution will be it before your consideration tonight. The other item I wanted to discuss is that shortly after our board meeting last month, the BAs had received an email from the county that we are eligible for. This is a new item. It's a tax levy incentive aid. This is new. I'm still fishing it out. But what it does states is that Heldon does qualify for it. And one of the qualifications is if the district is spending below adequacy, in which we are, we have to go on and apply, and we do have to meet a couple other criterias, which I will continue to fish out. What it does not state is who will pay for the increase. So I am trying to get more information on that. Once the application is available, I will go on the state's website and apply for it and go through the process. It gives the state, or it gives the district, the option to increase our tax levy up to $1 million or 5%, but it does not say if the state will subsidize that or will that come from our taxpayers. So until I find out that information, I will come back and report on the progress. Even if it's between board meetings, I will apply for it. And obviously, if it benefits us where it's not coming from the taxpayers, I would, recommend that we go ahead and try to see if we can, recuperate some of those funds as far as leveling out the tax levy for the towns. So it's still in the infancy stage. A lot of BAs, I spoke with them. I went to my roundtable. We don't have a lot of answers. They just threw a bunch of statutes at us, and we're trying to fish it all out. Okay.
Let me get.
I think I have one. Oh, so I just have a few items on the resolution tonight, and I just wanted to explain what 12.1 and 12.2 are on the board agenda tonight. So we have a third-party administrator that handles our 403Bs for our district. We are renewing our agreement with them and also adding on a few additional vendors. I know there was a few teachers and staff members were asking for more options. I'm adding a few more options. Right now, we are going to be approving the 403B and also the 457. We've only always had the 403B, but now we're going to add an additional option. And I also have asked our third-party administrator, Omni, to also forward me an agreement for a Roth or IRA. So I know there was a few staff members that were asking for options, and hopefully to get all of these options kind of approved and move forward with them. But right now, we're going to just reinstate our 403B and also add on our 457, and we're also adding a few more vendors on here. And I will continue to fish out additional vendors because I do believe that, you know, we should all have these options to choose from. And I think the other items are just, if there's any questions, I can answer those. And that's all.
Board members, any questions for Ms. Augustin?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Augustin, and thank you for drafting that resolution. You know, anything we can do to recoup some of our funds will be, you know, is a good thing to do.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to committee reports, personnel and management, Mr. Guzman?
Agenda items only. I just want to point out, yes, we have a retirement as it pertains to our Spanish teacher, and we want to thank her for her service. But again, and I like to point out the good things. I want to thank our superintendent because I see on the agenda that we have a replacement. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Where most schools are struggling to find teachers. Is that correct?
You know,
Okay, so I just want to point that out. And agenda items only again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Curriculum and technology, Ms. Quadrado.
Agenda item, so
Okay. Policy and public relations, Mr. Coletta.
Agenda items only.
Okay, safety and security, Mr. Guzman.
Agenda items only, and I just want to thank again the school district, all our teachers, our staff members, our chief of security, Brian Smith, who did assist the Hilton Police on that day for their great work. And that's what we do when times get hard. We come together and we're resilient, and we will always rise to the occasion as long as we work together. That's what it's all about.
I know I'm sorry to interrupt, but we had Ms. Smith here as one of the first people to kind of start the communication channel. And I'm gonna be remiss if I didn't say thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, community engagement, Ms. Quadrado.
So I just wanted to go over the Royals baseball softball team. I did have an opportunity to chat with Mr. Tejada in regards to the team. And I was made aware that it's not implicating any scheduling with the other team, which is our recreational team. It doesn't conflict with the schedule, so parents have the opportunity of either doing both or picking which one. It's not, you know, it's not a favoritism. And some of the good things that he pointed out to me was the special clinics that they have. They're going to be playing against teams outside of the Patterson League and playing in tournaments that are showcased in front of private schools. And also the age options. So they're starting from age 6 all the way through age 14 for boys and up to age 12 for girls, which is also something to take into consideration. So we just need to determine if we're going to do any fee charges. Yeah, I don't know what to do, but I just wanted to note those items. Other than that, agenda items only.
Okay, and just regarding that, I wanted to point out that this would be well, the scheduling will have to be worked out because during the week is not an option, correct? Because our teams.
Monday through Friday, our girls softball, obviously Chris knows, is gonna have the right of first refusal for that field. And then like, there's no lights, so like, there's certain, once it gets dark, no one's playing any sport. You know, if Mr. Tahada is willing to reimburse us for the cost of a custodian or for the hours that, just to clean up things, I think that would be a very fair thing. And then, you know, I'd love to work with him and Jermaine and then get him what he needs.
Okay, so weekends.
It would have to be weekends,
Yep,
Saturday or Sunday or.
weekends. And for the cost of the custodian to, I guess, open up
I
the,
think it's a good floor
yeah,
to start at.
Yeah.
And if the board wants more, that you guys, it's up to you, the board,
Mhm.
you know, not my facility, but I think it would be equitable, at least make it so the board doesn't lose.
yeah, absolutely, yes, absolutely. We should definitely not lose any money and, you know, we should be compensated for any, you know, for any custodial time. Okay, so, Ms. Quadrado, did the committee have a recommendation?
In regards to these, no, because we got all the information, this, I figured that the finance would go over fees,
Okay,
right?
well, we can
I mean,
discuss
you-
it. We can.
If the board votes yes, like I'll know what the custodial hourly or
Yeah.
2 hour, 3 hour cost, and then I
That
get
can be on the
If
agenda
if the
next.
board votes yes, I present that information to Mr. Tahada, and if he agreed to that fee, then we good to go.
Okay, and then it will be put on the contract would be put on the agenda, or does the contract need to be put on the agenda?
Oh, if
What,
we need to approve our rental fees and agree to that, and whoever rents our space, once we agree to that, they will have to abide by that. But the custodial fees, that will be worked out depending on who the custodian is on.
okay, all right, so for tonight, we're just voting on whether to approve the use of the facility.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Quadrado. Finance and physical plant. Mr. Martinez.
We met earlier, agenda items only.
Okay, let me go back here for a second. Ms. Cornell, do you have anything to report for the attorney report?
I don't, not for this evening, but Mr. Merlino will have a report at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks for filling in for him. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's go back to vote personnel and management, Mr. Guzman.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to move items 7.1 through 7.9.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Guzman, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna, Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado.
Yes.
Mr. Guzman,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, curriculum and technology, Ms. Quadrado.
I'd like to move items 8.1 through 8.5.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Quadrado, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Abstain from 8.4. Everything else.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes for 8.2 and 8.3 and no to 8.1, 8.4 and 8.5.
I didn't hear the last part.
Yes to 8.2 and 8.3 and no to the others.
Okay. Ms. Quadrado.
Yes.
Mr. Guzman,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Abstain from 8.5 and yes, to everything else.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, policy and public relations, Mr. Coletta.
I'd like to make a motion to move item 9.1.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Coletta, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna.
Yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mr. Guzman,
Yes.
Ms. Martinez, I'm sorry, Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez
Yes.
And Mrs. Zissa.
Yes. Okay, community engagement, Ms. Quadrado?
I'd like to move items 11.1 and 11.2.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Quadrado, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
11.1, yes, 11.2 abstain.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mr. Guzman,
It looks like they're gonna have the votes, but I just want to say, so. I think everybody knows what I do for a living, but one thing that I also did was I volunteered at the Health and Recreation Center for many years. I was a soccer coach. I was a basketball coach, and I didn't always agree with the operation, but I feel like we have a responsibility to guide our youth. And that's what Christian has done. That's what his team has done, but that's also what people like Carlos Maxwell have done. And the list goes on of so many coaches that have gone through here. Like some of you didn't even know that I was a coach. I've been doing this for a while. I didn't just start doing this. And again, soccer coach, basketball coach. And yeah, sometimes I didn't see eye to eye with whether it was a town or the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club. But if we don't see eye to eye, I don't agree with running and leading a new team. We got to figure it out as a community. I respect the drive. I respect the tenacity. I respect it because I feel like Christian and his team, their heart is in the right place. But I can't support this. I cannot support this because I believe in unity. And I know how hard that our mayor and council have worked. They're working so hard behind the scenes to redo and restructure the entire recreation center. They've been putting money away for that for a while. That's one of their highest priorities. I cannot support division. I'm sorry, I cannot. My vote is absolutely not, no.
you're voting no on these two resolutions.
Mr. Guzman, just on 11.2, no?
Yes, on 11.2, no. My vote
And
is
11.1 is yes?
absolutely yes.
Okay. Mr. Martinez,
Yes on 11.1, abstain from 11.2.
Mrs. Johnson, I skipped over you.
Yes for 11.1, no for 11.2.
And Mrs. Zissa.
So yes, for 11.1, for 11.2, I wanna. I agree with Mr. Guzman my son was also involved in the baseball team, and I think, the town does a great job, and, we had many happy, seasons with baseball and softball. That being said, I think, there is a new team out there and we have the opportunity to, let them use the field while it's not being used. And, I think they have these kids lined up and not that we want the kids to be divided, but, it's an option. It's another option for kids in our town. And, I think we should we should see how it goes. So I'm gonna vote yes for 11.2. Okay, finance and physical plan.
I don't think it's that.
Sorry,
What was the count on that? For?
We have.
Madam President,
yes.
if it didn't pass now, it doesn't mean it can't pass at a later time.
But did it pass out? I don't know.
We have,
What is the count?
we only have one, two, three. Four.
Madam President, may I make a comment or request?
What's done?
Yes, just
four.
1 second,
Four
Mr.
votes, yes.
Coletta. We're just trying to figure out
Yeah,
what the vote is.
It should be 2-2 and abstained.
there's 2 no's and 2 abstains, so it's 4-4. Okay. So 4,
So
yeah.
it passed. Okay, so it has passed. Okay,
Passed. Okay, good.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Stay for the meeting.
You can stay. Hey, Chris, thank you, buddy.
Stay for the
You
meeting.
gotta stay for the whole meeting now, or else we're gonna
Stay
change
for
the
the
vote.
meeting, man. That's, like that, you're gonna be.
You ain't getting off easy.
You gotta stay.
Okay.
You want some, you gotta stay.
Chris, you go.
Okay, finance and physical plan, Mr. Martinez.
I would like to move 12.1 through 12.16.
Okay, second, can I have a second?
It has to be the majority.
Yeah, it's not passed.
It has to be the majority. I'll talk to the lawyer.
Well,
Madam
I think
President, can we ask-
in that, I'm gonna, as a superintendent, there's times where I'm gonna piss people off by doing it. I have to advocate for what's best for the kids.
Yeah, but.
I've had legal opinion that
Can we ask
suggested
the
that
lawyer?
Roxanne can vote. She shouldn't have to abstain. She's allowed to vote. And
I think we should ask the lawyer, because I think it has to be the majority of the
we
board
got that.
president.
Yeah.
We got
And
that.
there's not a majority of the board president.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, Ms. Cornell, can you
'Cause this
weigh in on
is
this?
4-4.
Get my screen up. So we have.
I still also have a comment.
Board,
It's down.
Oh, Mr.
split.
Coletta still has a comment.
Oh, but it's down the middle. It's 4-4. It's not a majority of
She
the board.
abstained
Yeah.
though, but if she,
She's abstaining, right?
Mr.
but I
Coletta
don't
had
think she
something.
needs to abstain.
Hold on, Mr. Coletta had something. I don't know if that'll change.
Why can't we just ask the legal what their opinion is?
I would-
yeah, well, okay, everybody, hold on. Let's ask Ms. Cornell what her opinion is. We had 2 abstains, 2 no's and 2 yeses, and we're missing 3 board members. So what should we do? Do we need a majority? So 4 is not a majority.
Of the board's
Right.
president.
Correct. You need a majority.
Yes.
Okay, so the attorney says we need a majority, so either somebody who abstains should vote, or it does.
My thing is this, is there, I don't believe there's any direct conflict for Ms. Serta voting here. And we don't agree on a lot of things, but I don't see any reason that she can't vote on this. It's a nonprofit, and I think that she should be able to cast her vote either way.
Madam President,
Yes.
if the attorney is saying that there's no conflict with her voting, then there's no conflict with her voting. What are the attorneys saying?
Yeah, no, there is no conflict, because Mr. Molino had also mentioned that there was no conflict with either Mr. Motzko or Ms. Serna voting.
Another
So,
option, Madam President, if I may, with all fairness to the Royals, all the board members are not here. We can always vote to table it to another meeting.
The vote is complete. They have to, you have to, you can't just change it.
right,
It's complete.
so, but it's
So
not,
you have to, I don't know, table it
oh,
or.
so the vote is
Yeah, you can't
complete,
just
meaning
reverse
it didn't pass.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the vote is complete that it didn't pass.
Yeah, you have to bring it to the agenda item again.
Madam President,
Okay,
I make a motion to table this item.
You've already voted for it.
So.
Bring it up at the next.
Wait. Ms. Cornell, can you clarify? So since we only have 4 votes for yes, that means it did not pass. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it didn't pass, folks. It didn't pass.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, thank you, Ms. Cornell. All right, well, it didn't pass. Let's move to the next,
May I make my comment finally, or?
yes, go ahead, Mr. Coletta.
Okay, so in the
Point of
interest
order,
of.
point of
of-
order, point of order.
What?
We need to call these people. They just left here thinking that the vote passed. Somebody needs to step out and call these folks. That wouldn't be proper. They're probably calling families. You know, I think maybe perhaps the superintendent could excuse himself or
So
something.
well, I guess my question is this, why can't someone motion to re-vote on this in light of the new information?
I made a motion to table it, but I didn't get a second.
Mhm.
We could talk about this.
Well, if it's, the attorney is saying that the vote
Right, it's
is
done.
complete,
Dragging this on.
it didn't pass. So I agree that somebody obviously needs to tell Mr. Tejada and the other coach, but we're not gonna interrupt the meeting to do that. It'll have to take
Okay.
place after the
So
meeting.
I'll talk to
So motion to vote again in the next meeting.
No,
The
the vote
vote
is
is on the
complete.
next
So that's it.
agenda.
Okay, so on the next
This
agenda.
is complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So wait, hold on. What are you saying, Ms. Augustine, that we're gonna put it on the next agenda?
We don't have to. If you want to present it as another agenda item next time. you
To
can.
vote again
Yeah,
at the
but
next
this,
meeting?
this vote is complete. This is complete because everyone voted on it. It's complete. That's complete.
Okay,
But if you want to bring, I don't know,
so to make that happen, Mr. Tahada would have to present it again, and then it would have to be put on the agenda again.
just
for
like
the
any
next.
other agenda item.
Okay, and in the meantime, though, he would not be able to do, at least
No.
not with saying that saying that the practice is gonna be here. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Coletta, go ahead.
I think one thing, I understand it's over, that's fine. He can resubmit it. However, I do think people are missing the point that Haledon Warriors does not offer softball. And their solution was always to send the kids to Patterson to play for a Patterson team. We have a Haledon team that was looking, so in the interest of everyone speaks of unity, it's very disappointing that, again, the girls of Haledon get left out because they are offering softball, which is not offered currently. So it's very frustrating that people talk of unity, but yet again, the girls get left out. This has been an ongoing problem. The girls have not had anything since my daughter and your son were little, and they had to play on the same baseball team because there was never an option for the girls.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Coletta. I do want to clarify something. I know that the girls and boys play together up into a certain grade. Does anybody know what grade the girls go off to do softball? Because it's my understanding that the girls they play together up until like a certain grade. Go ahead, Ms. Pajado.
So my daughter was on the Health and Warriors too. So it's basically until they lose interest from playing with boys or they're able to do it here at HPS with grade 6, is
In
it?
grade 6, yeah, right, right. Okay. All right, well, I mean, I think that's something that Mr. Tejada should clarify too, if he wants to make his arguments,
What's the question?
you know, to what grade,
So I have the ages here, Madam President.
Okay,
if you
yeah.
want. So he's offering something that's not currently in Heldon as well, which is T-ball from ages 4 and 6. And that's unisex. For a pitch league, ages 6 to 8, softball for girls, 8 to 12. Ages 8 to 12, and then baseball for the boys, ages 8 to 14.
okay, and actually, what we need to clarify is the Haledon Warriors. What, you know, what role the girls have in Haledon Warriors.
So currently the Health and Rec offers baseball for ages 8 through 12. And it's unisex, so if girls want to
So
play. they
8 to
can
12, okay,
Yeah.
and then after 12, they can play softball at the school.
Mhm.
It's okay, okay, all
Madam
right,
President,
go ahead, Mr.
I
Grisman.
just feel compelled to respond, I'm sorry. So so what I'm saying doesn't get taken out of context. When I'm talking about unity, the Heldon Recreation Department is the Heldon Recreation Department. There obviously was a disconnect between Mr. Tejada and the Heldon Recreation Department. What I mean about unity is that they have to work that out. Christian Tejada is a very talented, ambitious young individual with a bright future. You know, he should be mentored and he can assist the Heldon Recreation Department with the expansion that they're currently working on. I would hate to see, because they're not getting along, him run off and try to create something different. And I feel that, in my personal opinion, that will create unity. It's our responsibility to ensure that everyone works together. We have to lead by example as elected officials. You know what I mean? Unity. For example, unity with our teachers who worked very hard during COVID-19. All right, came into work every single day, but meanwhile, we want to sit here and talk about cuts. No, absolutely not. We have to lead by example as elected officials, and it is our duty and obligation to teach the youngins that if there's a disagreement, we have to handle it. Not that we're going to run off, take the ball and go home. Absolutely not. We have to work it out. That's all I'm saying. And that is why I can't support that. So I didn't appreciate that unity comment. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grisman. Okay, all right, well, I think so. It will be up to Mr. Tejada whether he wants to present it again, and then it would be, if he does, it'll be on the agenda for the April 30th meeting, and then we'll vote again. And, we are down 3 board members tonight, so if everyone's here, then I think that will be a decisive vote.
I'll let him know.
Okay,
Which, for the record, I brought up, Madam President, I offered to table it because other board members were not here in the interest of unity, for the record.
well,
And
It was after the vote.
No,
right, we
understood.
can't table this one.
No.
It would have to be resubmitted.
Understood. And also, again, we want to thank our superintendent for always trying to do the right thing by the community and bring this to the table and everything else. So I get it, I see it, but this is personally where I stand. And as always, something that's on the agenda, we can vote it up or down. It's a democracy.
Total respect, 100%.
That's all, with
Yeah.
respect. It's all love.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. Let's move along.
I'd like to move 12.1 through 12.16 on finance and physical plan.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Ms. Quadrado. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Yes, to everything except for 12.8.
Oh, excuse me, Ms. Johnson, if you have a question here about that agenda item, the William Patterson, you can ask it before you vote.
That's right.
Yeah, but let's wait till we get to her.
I'll let you
Before she votes, she can ask her question.
hear.
We haven't gotten to her yet, so we're gonna go ahead, Miss Augustin, with the roll call, please.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mr. Guzman,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes, I just wanna, the explanation for 12.9 first.
So, yeah, so I'd like the opportunity to talk about the William Patterson Professional Development Partnership. And it's twofold. They're by no means our primary professional development training tool. There's by no means that's what their job is. But they provide supplementary and very often free of charge professional development. Most of the time, to some people's chagrin, I say no, because we need the teachers in the building, that's where they're most effective. But when you have like either weekends or after school or days where it's like Columbus Day or like, we can send staff out, we look to take advantage of that. But there's also another layer of this that's kind of, I guess, implied, and that is I want first dibs on the William Patterson student teachers. That's what I want first dibs on. And maintaining this professional relationship is very important in order to maximize that. And, George talked about replacing Ms. Rivera is gonna be very hard. Number one, because she's very skilled, but like, there's not that many Spanish teachers that are looking out there right now. And if it wasn't for the fact that we got seat 1A at that job fair, and all we had to pay was $120 plus the PD, but just having that established relationship gets us in the front of the line for a lot of things. And whenever there's someone that comes in late, the last second of the College of Education, and they need a last minute student teaching, I've made it very clear with the deans of all the local colleges, like, if you need someone last minute, always call me first and I'll find you a way to say yes. Because, we have a lot of people even in this room that were part of that William Patterson pipelines at one point. So I think it's a really smart thing for us to look to continue.
So this is more of a to help build a relationship or?
It's we're paying for the PD that they do offer, and we have them work with our neophyte teachers, our first, second, and third year teachers. We have them work with, Ms. Kiefer does a lot of work with certain, and other grade levels, other years. So they're going to work with us. Maybe I think it's like 6 or 7 or 8 hours contracted a week a month where they're going to be here with teachers.
Mhm.
But by saying yes to that agreement, I get front row seats at a lot of the William Patterson, getting their student teachers to work the student teach year and getting a first crack at interviewing them for other people do.
This one makes me nervous, right?
I think the right move is yes, I'm telling you.
I know, but I haven't heard the word cut until today,
Mhm.
right? And I like this. I went to William Patterson. I love professional development, but when we're talking about numbers, I don't want this to be a part of, this is from the budget, the general budget.
But I'll tell you one thing, when I hire a teacher the student teacher, I'm hiring them at step 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
I know, but
If I'm hiring somewhere else, I'm hiring a much higher.
$600,000 decrease.
600,000.
Well, I'm talking about as far as the budget, the cut,
Okay,
the cut. This 12,000,
Mhm.
then may add to the whole we already have, and now we're talking about cutting somebody. You know, I don't wanna make it worse, you understand what
I
I'm
feel you.
saying? You know, next thing you know, they're gonna say we have to cut somebody because an extra 12,000 here, an extra 10,000 here.
I will say this, Ms. Johnson,
I'm just-
this
yeah.
program has been in place for a few years and it's
Mhm.
been quite successful. So if
No,
that
I'm
has
pretty
any
sure it is.
bearing.
I'm just saying, if you're already talking about,
I think it's,
negative
if we get
600.
another year or two of negative stating numbers, then obviously there's gonna be substantial change, no doubt about that. And this is gonna be one of the next on the list to go pretty early on. But there's a real value to this one. Like this one helps us out in a lot of different ways. And I think it'd be very hard, like even just last year, it was Corrigan, I met her there. There's every year it's like 2 or 3 people we get directly from there. And it's been that way for a while.
yeah,
I'm telling you the truth.
listen. And they come back and the crowd is sitting here and we're down again, and listen, I'm trying to help, but
Mr. Martinez,
yes.
So before I vote, I'd just like to say that, the reason the budget, is what it is because we're not cutting,
Right.
right? So thankful, let's speak, I think that I speak for all of us that we're happy that we're not making any cuts right now.
Right.
And we will be budgeting for the next couple of years to ensure that there are no cuts, right? But if there are,
They tried their best, yeah.
right, if there are, then we have to manage it as it comes. But right now, if it's working, let's try to keep it. And I vote yes.
and Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty, so any new or old business?
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Guzman.
I just want to say, as it pertains to roles as board members, I just want to remind my fellow board members here in public the inherent responsibility as board members. We are elected officials. We have using words like cut so loosely. I don't think that sends the right message to our school district. People.
I don't even know where it came from.
I don't know either, but folks may get scared, such as maybe it's a layoff, there's a program getting cut. When we talk about cuts, what else are we going to cut? We don't have anything to cut. You know what I mean? Think about that for a second. We want to cut our boss program, which is so phenomenal for our parents. We can't just talk about cuts so loosely. We have to allow the school administration to take a look at their budget, like Mr. Walker did, and come back to us and
Which is why we have an audit coming, right? We have an audit coming.
Well, that's always.
And let's be careful with just my personal advice. Let's be careful with words such as cuts. This and that. That's why we have things in committee. Bring it up to the board. The board votes it up or down. Everyone in here is elected already. They all know you're doing your job. You don't have to come here and talk about this and talk about that. I get it. But just be careful and understand that there's people watching, there are parents, people have families. We can't just start talking loosely about cuts, like where are we cutting? Oh, how about this Department of Education? Well, guess what? Yes, they're trying to dissolve the federal Department of Education. But if you notice, is that Madam BA, is that affecting Title I money?
Today.
Not today. Well, good luck.
Tell me.
Yeah, I can't say what's gonna happen.
Well, the last,
We have to call it what it is.
understood. The last research that came out was that the Trump administration by law couldn't cut Title I money and things of that nature. And if they do, guess what? They're gonna get sued. It is what it is. Education is a right, it's not a privilege. It is what it is. The federal money just gonna go poof and disappear. That's not the way government works. So let's take it easy. Let's lower the temperature. Let's let the administration do what they do. That's why we pay them. Let's have confidence in them, for crying out loud. This is why they get paid the big bucks. We cannot interfere with the day-to-day operations of the school. That's why, and Mr. Walker, from what I know, has a healthy relationship with the HEA. Speak to the stakeholder, comes back to the board. We voted up or down. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we realized that I realized that I did not, ask for the report for state and county. So Ms. Quadrado, would you please, give us your report for state and county? And I apologize for that oversight.
And thank you, fellow board member George Goodson, for, your words. I really appreciate that. And just to piggyback off of you, we did receive a letter from our, the president of the CEO of NJSBA in regards to Trump's executive order on March 20th. And the order is to dismantle the US Department of Education. It was advising that the association is closely monitoring developments and how the executive order would affect New Jersey school districts and its students. So basically the order is telling the US Secretary of Education to take all necessary steps to close the Department of Education and return the authority to the states and local communities as permitted by law. The executive order or the letter also it states that the U.S. Board of Education should ensure the effective and uninterrupted delivery of services, programs, and benefits on which Americans rely on. So again, the NJSBA is monitoring and staying in close touch with our legislators as they determine whether or not or how it's going to affect the New Jersey schools. A couple other items that I have for state and county are just a couple of reminders of some upcoming trainings. We have School Public Relations Forum with NJSBA on April 4th. There's also an Equity Expo on April 11th. We have a virtual spring conference, May 30th. And then there's, for those who definitely reach out to the business administrator to register for those. And there's also upcoming mandated training for anyone who needs some of the mandated training. They are virtual. Governance 2 is actually tomorrow. So if anybody needs Governance 2, tomorrow virtual from 7 to 9. Governance 3 is going to be April 1st. And Governance 4 is going to be April 3rd. These are all virtual. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Quadrado. Okay, any other new or old business? Okay, so can I have a motion to open the floor to citizens?
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, seconded by Mr. Martinez, all in favor?
Hi.
Okay, so the floor is open. We'll start with the folks who are here. Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to address the board.
I will do my best in 3 minutes.
Okay.
Diane Cartain, I'm the president of the Haledon Education Association. I'm going off paper here, guys, and I'm gonna apologize to my people who all came here because we watched the March 12th meeting. And I have 3 pages of notes from that meeting of things we were upset about. And now I come here today and you guys are all like, oh no, we're not making any cuts. I don't know exactly what the breakdown was. Maybe there was something with the video that we saw on March 12th, but I have 3 pages, most of which, by the way, was stolen by my friend, Mr. Guzman here, about how this is public education. And we watch Board of Ed meetings. No, we're not here all the time. You know what? We're not. But obviously we need to be. Because the tune in this room changed a whole lot by us sitting here. This is not what I heard March 12th. So I'm going to read to you some of what I wrote. And I apologize that now some of it seems irrelevant because you all have changed your mind here. So
No, we haven't changed anything.
I'm going to read what I've got. I'm here tonight proudly representing the Haledon Education Association as we wish to respond to statements made at the March 12th Board of Ed meeting. So let's just filter out the noise, which obviously all of that was, and get to the facts. Fact, the school board administrator on March 12th presented a preliminary budget to the board that included 0 cuts to student services, 0 cuts to staff. She did this despite the fact that the district saw a significant cut in state funding. Now, fiscally speaking, the district was in a healthy position and we all absorbed the loss. Great. Except not. Because a second fact emerged on March 12th, and that was there are members of this Board of Education who insisted on cuts anyway. We all watched it. We listened to it. I heard things like, we need an audit to see where we're gonna cut. We need an audit to see, we need less programs, we need less teachers. This is what we heard on March 12th. We all listened in. We also learned on March 12th that somehow the voters in this town elected the board with the goal of cutting property taxes. I didn't see that on any of your flyers. Okay? I have now informed the NJEA that we need to pay a little bit more attention to school board elections in Eldon, because student first doesn't actually mean funding student activities, which is what you're supposed to be doing. Now, it is true that the preliminary budget for next year includes a 2% tax. So let's talk about it. The concept of public education is as old as this nation. None of us were even alive when it was determined that the government, federal, state, and local municipalities would fund the mandate that every child be offered a public education. So let's be clear. It is a mandate. It is built over many years of history, and it is the role of the taxpayer to fund public education. Yet, at the March 12th and many other times before, I heard a board member of this board say that money from the state was a gift. A gift comes in a basket with socks and a candle. The money that comes from the state is the responsibility, holding up the responsibility that each of us takes to fund public necessities like police and fire and garbage collection and libraries, and I'm over already. And yes, public schools. Amanda, do you want her to read it or do you want me to read it?
It's
Yes,
okay, we
yeah.
can,
Go with it.
That's all I'm saying.
okay, yep.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Listen, in an ideal world, each locality would fund their own school. If you drive 3 miles in one of these directions, you could go to Franklin Lakes and they do exactly that. No one here thinks that those kids are more entitled to an education than ours are. You know what Franklin Lakes spent per student this school year? $28,584 per student. You know what Haledon spent? $18,614. How much more do you guys want to cut? So as was mentioned many times on March 12th, to be meaningful, any budget cuts would aim to reduce staff. That message was heard loudly by your employees. Fact, 21 school districts in Passaic County. HPS is 21st, dead last, in median teacher salary and average teacher salary. Respectfully, in the midst of a teacher shortage, your concern should be on teacher retention, not on teacher elimination. If you want to continue to talk cavalierly about staff layoffs, that's fine. But think long and hard about that decision the next time you ask if the building is fully staffed. There is no question public education is under attack. We read the papers too. And I am going to speak to my friend, Mr. Guzman here. It seems like the last time, and I am old enough to be here to have been here the last time we had this problem. Seems like the last time the board and the teachers, we all worked together, we had a common enemy. We went to the state, we had a common enemy. I don't feel like that now. We need to feel like that again. I'm not just piggybacking off of him. A lot of you have changed your ideas here today. Please. I'm just going to finish with, as the months go on, more and more opportunities are going to come up to fight for public school funding. I get things all the time. Let's do this job action. Let's do that. I want to work together with you guys. We want to work together with you guys because we need to get public education back on track in this country. We just came to tell you, come join us. Thank you. I'm sorry I went over. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cartana. I'm gonna take all comments first, and then we'll close the floor and board members can respond if they wish. Does anybody else that's here want to address the board? Okay, Delvin, is there anyone online that has their hand up?
No one online. Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Guzman, seconded by Mr. Martinez, all in favor?
Hi.
So I want to address first Ms. Cartana's comments. I just want to say that I appreciate you coming and I appreciate the show and force here. The school district is nothing without the teachers. So, and it's my hope that we don't have to cut any positions. Of course, we have to balance the budget and we have to, make, sometimes decisions have to be made that are difficult, but always cutting personnel is a last resort as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's the sentiment I would hope from all the board members, that that's a last resort. We don't want to cut personnel, but I really appreciate you all being here and thank you for all that you do. Does anybody else want to?
Madam President?
Yes,
Before George, because he likes to fill the show.
go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
I will say this, I will be the first to tell you, before I say something about cutting anything, I definitely will say something about a teacher. I'm sorry, a program. Because I received notices before, and it hurts when I received a notice in the academy. So, I would never want to do that, but if we talk about programs before we do anything else, that's the first thing to go, not a teacher. I would never want to do that, so just in case you guys, I don't know I can't even remember what happened last meeting, but it definitely wouldn't be to cut a teacher. A program have to go before I see any of you leave. I just want to make that clear. First of all,
Thank you.
I don't want to cut programs either, if we don't have to. But thank you for all you do.
Mr. Guzman?
Yeah, Madam President, I just want to say, we have a couple new board members, right? And we were all there. I was a new board member and there's a lot of growing pains with the position. I don't think anyone meant anything against the school just the teachers. Actually, when I walked in here earlier, I was asked by a fellow board member, what are the teachers doing here? Do you know anything? I was like, I don't know anything, but I know common sense tells me if you're gonna talk about cuts, the teacher's gonna show up.
I said the same thing, like.
Yeah. Well, anything, even in that context, because they should, it's their responsibility. That's what we can do, right? So all I'm gonna remind this board is this. Government, a lot of times, and I've got this in my personal life, everywhere, have the shortest memories. Let's never forget, when every school district was closed around here, these teachers showed up for our kids. They were here. We had the most in-person instructional hours in the whole region, thanks to these teachers. And the fact that they're the lowest paid in the county is despicable. And I blame myself for that too, because I was a board president and I didn't know it was that bad. But my whole thing is that personally, I appreciate you. Obviously, our ethics calls for, we're not here for the teachers, we're here for these children. But just remember that if the teachers are not good, how can our kids be good? If their morale is not where it should be because we're here talking about cuts, prematurity, and things like that, then how can they render a good service for our children if they don't know, oh, am I gonna have a job next year? We want them to come to work and have a good working environment. We want them to feel supported, not only by the administration, but by their board members. Talking about cuts, especially so prematurely, is irresponsible. And I wasn't gonna say that publicly, but I'm saying it now because obviously it should be said. And this is not a knock on anybody. I don't think anyone in here wants anything bad. We're just trying to figure it out. That's all. And I have faith in our administration. I have faith in this board that we will get it right. Ms. Cartina, and we will stick together. I do feel that because we voted for this symbolic resolution that we're gonna hand deliver to our state reps and let's see what happens. Let's hope we can recoup some of this money and not cut any programs. We cannot cut anything. We have nowhere to cut. We're giving these children the bare minimum. We're talking about cuts. We should be talking about where we're gonna give our money.
Listen,
We can have more programs for our children.
not to cut you off, but I also want to say, like I said before, when we asked the BA, she said we were in trouble. So I don't want it to seem like, we're this bad group here and a few people said this and that. She said we're in trouble. So when you hear we're in trouble, you want to do everything possible to save the teachers, to make sure the students are getting everything they need.
Correct.
That's the first thing I heard is we're in trouble. I'm like, wait a minute. Listen, Miss Sanchez, my girl back there, she ain't going nowhere. That's how I felt. No, but seriously, yeah, that kind of made you a little nervous. It made me a little nervous to hear that we're in trouble. So, that's probably why, a lot of the conversation came up. Nobody here, I don't think, wants to.
Mr. Martinez?
Yeah, I sat at the meeting last meeting, the finance meeting. And as far as being in trouble, I never felt that we were in trouble.
Just going off what she said.
As far as the numbers, no, nothing against you,
Oh, okay.
just as far as looking at the numbers and looking at the budget that was set out for this upcoming year. We're good. We're good. Now, the concern was, and if I may, is that if we don't get the money that we're supposed to get, like we didn't get it for this upcoming year, then we can be in trouble. And then that's when we have to start thinking about what are the remediations that we're gonna need to take in order to make sure that our kids are not in trouble.
Yes.
Okay, so then obviously, we're human and our emotions get the best of us and we feel this and we feel that. And the reality is that we're not in trouble today.
Right.
Can we be in the future? Absolutely. Are we gonna get there? Are we gonna allow that? No. Because we believe in what they do. And we believe in what our teachers do. So we may agree on some things and we may not agree. But what we do agree on is that we're not gonna let anything happen to our teachers and our students. And we're gonna always fight for them and the best for them. That's all.
Spagetto?
I just wanted to add, first of all, thank you to all the colleagues with, all of their, comments. I definitely agree with everyone. And I just want to add to everything that as a school board, we do have to work together besides this resolution on thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And seeing what else can we do just to ensure that, we keep our teachers and as many programs as we can. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Madam President, so let's point out too that budget called for a 2% increase. There's no district that I've seen that went under 2%.
Right.
And then some districts are forgetting. So I think we are in a good place and we have been for a while. And that's because we're all working together as a team, our administration, our school board, and our HEA. And as long as we continue doing that, and we also have the support of our mayor, our governing body, we're gonna be okay. And that's the bottom line.
Madam President, may I respond? My phone's at 5%.
Yep, go right ahead, Mr.
Okay, respectfully, I am a big proponent of that words have meaning. So perhaps I should have chosen my words a little bit more carefully. However, I do think and disagree. While I respect everyone on the board, I do think and disagree that it is irresponsible to not look to see where you can save money. Perhaps the wording of cuts was taking a little differently. However, I have asked for 2 budgets. This is the 3rd budget. I have asked Mr. Waka what could be saved, what could be cut back where we don't have to spend as much money, because that is what is responsible that any adult, any business owner, any business, any government agency should be looking at what can be saved. I have never once said we should lay off teachers. I don't think we should lay off teachers. I've personally been laid off as a police officer, and I understand the drama that it causes and how hard it is to deal with. Additionally, I think that after fighting and arguing for the 3rd meeting, I have a list now from Mr. Walker where we are looking to save money on different things, not cutting teacher positions, not cutting administrative positions. And it took 3 years and 2 tax levies to get a list of something that simple. Again, my concern is the funding formula, which is done for the state. 87% of our budget comes from money from the state or federal government. If that money is cut, we could end up like East Orange. My concern is that I don't want to see a mass cut, layoff, or anything like that for the teachers that we have or for our kids, because it would be unfair to them. So I am just looking forward to try to ensure that that doesn't happen. Because as you see, even though we do have friends at the state level, our budget was cut. And there's nothing to say that next election, you won't get a Republican governor who will look to cut further. And my fear is that I don't want to see where you have a mass layoff. You don't have a mass program reduction. However, I do think that is irresponsible to not look and say, where can we save money? Including things like I constantly vote no for the professional development for board members, where it might not be a lot of money, but there's no reason why we can't save where we can. And again, if any teachers were offended by my comments, again, words have meaning, and I did not suggest that we should lay off teachers starting today. I don't think that that should be a consideration right now. However, you fiscally responsible. If you get a massive cut, that is something that could happen in the future, but I would not look to eliminate teaching positions in a school district that is already behind everywhere else other than Patterson's sake in this county.
Mike, it didn't take you 3 years to get a list of things that are being truncated.
False.
It took a $688,000 state aid reduction. Because if you're gonna give me between $600,000 and $1 million extra 5 consecutive years in state aid, I ain't gonna cut anything, Mike. I'm gonna build things. That's how it works.
And you have to look for when the money's not there,
Because
that
there's
you
a
have,
$688,000 reduction.
there was
So
a
we had to
reduction
make
last year and you didn't get a list.
reasonable restrictions. That's why you got the list, Mike.
No, I got a list. There was no cuts last year. So you didn't, last year. the
Last year we
budget
had
got
an
cut.
$800,000 bonus in state aid. So why would you want cuts?
Because it's all a grant
But
from
we
the state that
maxed
can be
out, we
cut.
maxed out the amount we could bank in a lot of our bankable areas, Mike. I gotta spend it.
Okay. Again, I didn't say to lay off teachers, so anybody that's putting those words in my mouth, I don't appreciate it. That was not what I said.
Madam President, I just
Okay,
want to say,
Mr.
I just
Coletta.
want to say,
Thank
if
you.
I may, Madam President,
Go ahead.
that I just want to back Mr. Coletta up on this because I did have a sidebar conversation with him. At no point did he ever say he wanted to see teachers laid off or anything like that. So I want to make that loud and clear. I think what he's saying is that, okay, where can we, he want, maybe the Secretary of Doge for the Health and Board of Ed, where can we cut, but he in no way, shape or form is talking about eliminating positions. He's never mentioned anything like that. So I want to say that about Mr. Coletta. As a matter of fact, Mr. Coletta has also said that he too knows how it feels to be laid off, and he never wants to see nobody in that position. He just wants to see us, be proactive and monitoring our fiscal situation. That's all. I think we learned a lot from this. I'm actually glad this happened in a way. Maybe we needed to have this conversation because, again, we're all in this together and we have to work together. So I think our several board members, like Mr. Coletta said, he's, if he misspoke about cuts, he apologizes, like Mr. Walker explained. And again, let's have confidence in our administration. Let's continue working with our HEA and let's continue moving the school district forward.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Any other comments from the board? Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we have, we're not gonna make, to Mr. Walker's point, we're not gonna make cuts when we had a surplus. We're not gonna do that. Of course, though, we want to think proactively, we want to think ahead. And anything that we can do that doesn't involve cuts is, or reduction of services or programs, that would obviously be a first choice. It may come to that, it may come to reducing some services and but the cutting personnel is always going to be an absolute last resort, and we're not there. We are raising the tax levy. 2% is going to cover it. So, and the work that Ms. Augustin has done, we're good for 25, 26. And we're going to keep working to figure out how we can sustain that so that we don't ever have to cut personnel if possible. And we don't have to reduce services or further reduce any services. So we're going to work together. Of course, that's what we want. We want what's best for our kids. We want what's best for the staff, and we want what's best for, our district and our community. Of course, we're going to do that. And we do want to work with you. So I hope, I really appreciate you all being here and, showing your concern. And we hear you loud and clear. And we're gonna work together. So I just want to thank everybody, my board members and the teachers and everyone who's, participated in this conversation. And let's see how we, how this all goes, how this all plays out. But we do need to support each other. So thank you. So if there are no other comments, I'm going to, we do have an executive
I
session.
don't think we do.
We don't?
Because, that was you guys got the backup for the HIV, unless there's any
Okay.
specific questions you have,
Okay.
otherwise it's pretty cut and dry.
Okay, so then we just What? we
You just voted to affirm what you've seen, from the back. If you want me to go, if
Okay.
you want to have an executive, we could, but I
No,
just.
we don't have to have executive session regarding that matter. Yeah, and we don't need to vote on it, right? There's no vote.
You're just voting you've already voted to, in one of the earlier agenda items, you voted to,
This is a different one though. I
it should be
believe.
0325.
Yeah, this one is a new one.
Says 05.
We confirmed that your,
Oh, this is 0525.
yeah, this
Let's
is a
wait for the
different-
next board meeting. I'll be prepared to give that. I missed the.
okay, that's
My
fine.
fault.
Okay, so we're gonna adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Guzman, seconded by Ms. Johnson, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Sorry, it was on my.
We're all in it together, folks.